Narinder Kaur. Narcissist or Nincompoop? Hello, I'm HG Tudor. Narinder Kaur has found herself the centre of controversy as a consequence of her tweet about the Princess of Wales, where she commented on her appearance. I have analysed that tweet and come to the firm conclusion that it was a clear provocation. Nevertheless, lots of different people can be provocative for differing reasons. Narinder Kaur then released a supposed apology video. I've broken that down in considerable detail separately and came to the firm conclusion there that it's anything but an apology video. Not only that, it does provide us with plenty of opportunity to understand more about her behaviours. We're now going to consider, is it the case that she could be a narcissist, or is she simply a nincompoop? And if you're not familiar with that word, it means a foolish person. Could it be that she's a non-narcissist? Might she be an empath that's basically just had a bit of a meltdown over the last couple of days, with her emotional empathy having been reduced, causing her to act out? Is she perhaps a normal person who enjoys the attention and is provocative because it provides her with a living and doesn't really have any emotional empathy for the Princess of Wales? Might it be that she's particularly self-absorbed and is narcissistic but not a narcissist? Or might be witnessing a narcissist in action, somebody who pursues the prime aims, albeit in an unaware fashion? Well, Narinder Kaur first came to the attention of people as a contestant on the reality television show Big Brother. She appeared back in 2001 when she was in her 20s. She explained that she wanted to enter the Big Brother house because she had a burning desire to be famous. Now, it's not just narcissists who necessarily want to be famous. There are plenty of other people who are not narcissists that want to be famous, but you get a higher proportion of individuals who are narcissists seeking fame because it caters so well to the prime aims. It provides, through fame, an opportunity to assert control far more easily. It allows the narcissist to drink at the ever-so-precious fuel fountain. It gives access to character traits and residual benefits. And therefore, you will find fame in its various forms: political, military, entertainment, sport, entrepreneurship, whatever it might be, attracts plenty of narcissists. Accordingly, the fact that she wanted to become famous and was so naked in her ambition shows certainly the narcissistic trait of showmanship, of showcasing, that she wanted to show off. I recall when Big Brother first started that I thought this will be an interesting psychological experiment showing people cut off from the world. After watching the first series, I soon formed the conclusion it actually just caters to a number of narcissists. And she then reached her desired celebrity status when she appeared on the reality television show back in 2001. She has, of course, provoked the angry response with her comments about Catherine, Princess of Wales. But we have here an individual who makes a living from being outspoken. She's a TV panellist on shows which include Good Morning Britain, GB News and Loose Women. Again, she enjoys courting fame by appearing on television. She wants the attention of people, which might show that she has a need for fuel. She's also someone who is opinionated. And being opinionated is a narcissistic trait. She regularly interrupts people, which shows a lack of boundary recognition. She talks over people, which is a similar lack of boundary recognition. She is somebody that holds forth with her observations, and not when they're necessarily well-formed ones either. Naturally, she's always entitled to express an opinion, but it's quite clear that she does so in circumstances whereby she doesn't necessarily have the facts to back it up, and therefore exhibits a sense of entitlement in the way that she issues her opinions. Previously, she has been a supporter of this one's wife. Indeed, in the so-called apology video, she triangulated with this one's wife, suggesting what's this one's wife got to do with it. And she's claimed previously that this one's wife and Prince Harry were pushed out by the royal family, who were jealous, although she means envious, of this one's wife and Harry. In a heated GB News debate with Nigel Farage about Harry's decision to leave the UK for America, she said last January, "Shall I tell you why he walked away? Because it took marrying a biracial woman to realise how racist the institution he is in." She added, "This one's wife and Harry was so popular, and I think it was jealousy." Well, the evidence doesn't really support that conclusion. Not that it's going to dissuade her to change her mind. And she then went on to state, "And King Charles the Cruel," insult. Why hasn't he spoken to his son? Why hasn't he protected his son? Well, actually, why didn't they come out? Nigel Farage responded more relevantly, why hasn't he taken his son's title away? Harry and this one's wife's popularity in this country has gone from stratospherically high to very, very low. But rather than answer Mr. Farage's question, she continued to criticise the monarchy for the way in which they dealt with the supposed racism towards this one's wife, stating, "This institution, the monarchy, needs to speak out against racism," and they didn't. She attacked the royals when the nation came together to mark the one-year anniversary of Queen Elizabeth's death last year. She wrote, "The death of the Queen of Crime, Elizabeth II, at the age of 96, after almost 7 decades of rule, has sparked reactions at various levels. However, the most significant response should be considered the eruption of anger and resentment caused by the lasting damage of British rule." Now, she's clearly got a view with regard to colonialism, with regard to white British rule, and, as I state, she can express her opinion. But notice that she does so in a forthright and entitled fashion, using insults, referring to the late Queen Elizabeth as the Queen of Crime. What actual evidence is there that the Queen was involved in some kind of crime? This is simply a gratuitous insult that's been bandied around, done, again, to be provocative. She stated, "The people from former and current British colonial countries regard Elizabeth II as the embodiment of colonialism and the harm inflicted by England upon their nations. They have not hesitated to express this sentiment following the news of her death. Although Elizabeth II reigned during the post-colonial era of England, she still maintained a connection with the colonial past rooted in racism and violence against Asian and African colonies. In recent years, there has been an increasing demand for the monarchy to confront." Notice that she shows a complete lack of respect for somebody that provided service to the country on the anniversary of her death, deeming that it's appropriate for her to speak out and to do so in terms where she insults the individual. She could wait a day or two, but of course, she doesn't exhibit patience. Furthermore, it could be that she could express her view, but do so in a less gratuitous fashion. But of course, she thrives on being provocative because provocative provides her with a living, and also, it would appear that she needs the responses. In another tweet, she wrote, "What good did she do for the poor of this country? She's remembered for Paddington Bear." Belittlement. The Queen is remembered for much more than Paddington Bear, and it is a rather ignorant view that Kaur is putting forward of suggesting that she was only remembered for Paddington Bear. In March of this year, she waded into the row over Nike's controversial decision to alter the St. George's Cross on the back of the England kit with rainbow colours. While former England players slammed the decision, Kaur claimed Nike's St. George's Cross makeover made her feel included because the flag is associated with bigotry, fascism and racism. She told the Jeremy Vine show at the time, "I saw that flag and I felt included. I felt Nike's reason was to unite. Sadly, the St. George's flag has been hijacked. It is tarnished, and as far back as I can remember, 60s, 70s, 80s, it's been hijacked by far-right groups." I'm not really sure how she remembers the 60s so well, given that she wasn't born. Anyway, all I see when I see the St. George's flag is people draped in it doing the Nazi salute, being racist and hating Muslims. Well, that shows a rather blinkered and bigoted view that she has. Many people display the St. George's flag because they're proud of being English. Many people are actually afraid of flying the flag or wearing it, displaying it, for fear of being accused of being a far-right thug, when they're far from anything associated with that very small group. The fact is that to say that when she sees the St. George's flag, it's people draped in it doing the Nazi salute, shows a tunnel view. There are plenty of people that display it who don't display the Nazi salute, who are not racist and do not hate Muslims. She stated, so there's nothing to be proud about when those kind of people are brandishing that flag, and it's actually quite scary. I'm not proud of this flag. I feel scared of the flag. The flag doesn't represent tolerance, it represents racism. Well, actually, the flag represents a country. That's what flags do. But once again, the opinionated core wants to taint an entire country's flag by suggesting that it's racist. It shows a rather narrow-minded view, an inability to listen to the opinions of others. She got into a spat with Lawrence Fox, no surprise there, which ended in the actor posting an upskirting photo of her. He shared the image without her consent amid a spat about their political views. At the time, she thanked people for their support and said it was a police matter. She backed Lily Allen when the singer said that children ruined her career. She said, I wanted to give Lily Allen a pat on the back because she was completely honest. I think she triggered a lot of mums out there who believe this myth that you can have it all. You can't. She's hit out at J.K. Rowling over her gender-critical views, referring to a sarcastic Mother's Day's tweet which said, Happy Birthing Parent Day. She said, of all the ways Rowling could have used her star status to make a difference in the world, she chose to pick on a minuscule percent of an already very demonised group of people. So sad. Just last month, she made headlines again as she claimed that she was kicked, punched and verbally abused by a passenger on a recent flight to India. She said she was flung forward by a woman and she slept after rowing over a reclined seat on the Air India flight. Sharing the allegations on X, notice that she regularly goes running to that platform, she wrote, Air rage is real, and I had a terrible experience with a woman literally punching and kicking my seat forward as it was reclined while she was trying to eat behind me. She literally flung me forward and I didn't have my belt on. She proceeded to verbally abuse me. FYI, she wasn't even drunk. She explained her decision to go on the Big Brother series by stating, I just knew, I felt it, I had to become famous. I was sat in a GP surgery and handing out leaflets and knew I had to make this come true, and that it was now or never, that I had to make my dreams come true. But how? That's where Big Brother came in. I wasn't a huge fan of the first series, but realised it was a way in. Since her stint in the house, she has gone on to present a show on London's Leica Radio and also publish a tell-all book about her time in the house titled Big Brother, The Inside Story in 2007. It does not appear that she's had much of a career other than being controversial. That she spends her time being a talking head and picking fights, that she does so on X, and she feels that she has to always make observations. What's quite evident is that she actually doesn't have any talent to remain in the public eye unless she's picking fights, that she is commenting about people. And accordingly, it's quite clear that the provocative behaviour that she engages in is just done for the necessity of earning a living. But to my mind, it isn't a case of it's an act and that she's this sweet and loving person the rest of the time, because what you see is that she behaves this way on television. She's consistently behaved this way throughout the career that she's had. You only have to go and look on X to see the nature of her tweets, how she regularly looks to pick a fight and to provoke. This is clearly an individual who thrives on provocation, who has to stir it up because she requires a reaction, because she needs fuel. She acts in an entitled fashion. She doesn't appear to actually sport any actual expertise about many matters, but opines on them regularly nevertheless. That demonstrates a sense of entitlement. She has demonstrated a complete absence of accountability for her behaviour because she claims she has apologised, but as I have analysed separately, you don't see any kind of accountability or contrition in that video whatsoever. That is very telling indeed. What we also see in that video is a victim mentality. You've all attacked me. You've used a racist narrative. I'm a brown lady and you've attacked me. She takes no responsibility for her own behaviour, blame shifts, and then calls out everybody else. And also revises history, as I pointed out, where she claims that she wasn't involved in questioning where Kate was, and yet she's issued numerous tweets that confirm that she did. Her tweeting history is particularly revealing, and one only has to wade through it to see the instances where she has to talk about other people in an aggressive fashion, that she feels that her opinion ought to be heard, and that she does this time and time again, showing an absence of boundary recognition, a sense of entitlement, a lack of accountability for her behaviours. Some might say she has a similarity to that other controversial Katie Hopkins, but I would say there's a difference. With Katie Hopkins, she's certainly provocative and she makes a career out of doing it. But there's one thing that Katie Hopkins can do, is that she invariably can take it. She doles it out, but she can take it as well. You don't see her engaging in pity-playing rants, whereas with Narinder Kaur, she doled it out to the Princess of Wales. She was expecting that there would be a pile-on. She expected that plenty of other people would get behind her, that they would all say it. Yes, she's aged, hasn't she? Gosh, yes, she must be a smoker, etc. With the consequence that she would then be able to drink deep of all of the attention that would be sent her way. Instead, she had something of a shock, as people stood up for Catherine and criticised her. Rather than recognise that they also are allowed to express an opinion, or simply acknowledge, I've misgauged the mood here, I didn't mean that, what you're suggesting, and apologise. Instead, she goes running to make a video telling everybody how they're attacking her because they have a narrative. They're attacking her because they want to pit this one's wife against Catherine. They're attacking her because they're racist. The fact that she exhibits such extensive victimhood and has to make it all about her. Is there any consideration as to how Catherine might have felt with such a remark being made about her? Was there any consideration as to how Catherine might feel that possibly her looks have deteriorated somewhat as a consequence of the treatment that she's been through? After all, Kaur claims that her brother suffered from cancer. Well, if he did, and one assumes that that's correct, surely, if she saw what it did to her brother, she would be far more understanding of the situation in relation to Kate, yet she was not. You see, this is what happens with a self-absorbed individual. What they do is they say, I wasn't being nasty about her cancer. After all, my brother had cancer, so because my brother had cancer, that means that I have a get-out-of-jail card. When in actual fact, what she's doing is making it worse. Because if her brother had cancer, she should have exhibited a greater degree of compassion towards Catherine and not wrote what she did. If her brother, on the basis that he had cancer, she ought to know better and therefore refrain from commenting as she did. In actual fact, on the basis that her brother did have cancer and she still wrote what she did, makes it doubly despicable and demonstrates that she doesn't give a rat's ass in relation to Catherine, instead blinded by her repeated mantra of the fact that Catherine is white and privileged. Who's being racist now? What is clear from the history of this woman's behaviour, her repeated outpourings on television, the way that she talks over people and interrupts, the way that she's opinionated, the way that she holds forth without any expertise, the way that she seeks controversy, the way that she tweets regularly, is that she is an attention seeker, an individual that seeks fuel left, right and centre, an individual that has no emotional empathy for other people because she is always right. And then if you say that she's wrong, she goes crying to a video, criticising and claiming that you're all racists. This is an individual that exhibits a lack of boundary recognition, an individual that demonstrates an absence of accountability. someone who shows grandiosity. She engages in showcasing. She believes that she's more talented than she actually is. She's dismissive and arrogant. She believes that she's always right, evidence of her haughty behaviours. She's engaged in a range of manipulations, which are demonstrative not only on X, but more fully seen in the video that she created herself. She shows various aspects of the narcissistic dynamic. Where there is a threat to her control, namely she has been criticised, her response is to then go on the attack further, issuing both pity plays and smearing, insults, making it all about her. She's completely unaware of the way that she behaves and comes across. The fact is that what she wrote was provocative, but it's her reaction to the criticism that she's experienced, coupled with the historical analysis of her behaviours, which demonstrates that Narinder Kaur is quite clearly an unaware narcissist. An individual who operates with a sense of entitlement and no accountability, who is manipulative, who finds that it's always somebody else's fault, who believes that she's always one who's entitled to be able to express her opinion. An individual that requires control, and if it's threatened, she responds with a variety of manipulations. A fame-hungry individual who is actually hungry for what fame brings, the ability to control people, the ability to draw fuel and character traits, and residual benefits. Accordingly, when she issued the tweet about the Princess of Wales, she did so as a means of asserting control over Catherine, by smearing her, but moreover by seeking to elicit a response from followers so that it would provide her with fuel. She received, however, oodles of challenge fuel, which she wasn't expecting. Of course, being an unaware narcissist, she doesn't know that she seeks those things. Instead, she simply sees herself as expressing her opinion, that she's entitled to do so, and that she's right in what she states, that she has a bigoted view with regard to the royal family, and that she adheres to much of the behaviour of those that support this one's wife. It is evident from the behaviours that we've witnessed recently, but just as importantly, historic behaviours of this individual, that Narinder Kaur behaves in a manner which is commensurate with that of a narcissist. Do you agree with my observations? Let me know in the comments section. Do you disagree? And if so, why? I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.